Okay, welcome to another Orbiter Spaceflight Simulator video. And this video is going to be a continuation in the cargo transport mission that I'm doing. It's kind of a mission that I made up myself. It comes from the default scenario, comes with Orbiter 2010 by default, that is, from the Shuttle A folder. This one's called Shuttle A on the Moon. Now, the particular details of that scenario in the description is that you're going to take this cargo back to Earth and dump it into the Indian Ocean. For my own sake, I decided, well, I'm going to dump it off the coast of Florida, and there's a reason for that. Basically, my reasoning was that if I dump it into the Indian Ocean, that's such a large target. Let me see here, let me zoom out. That's kind of a big target area, like somewhere out here. I'm trying to be a little more pinpoint with my accuracy, and not even so much for my own accuracy's sake, but just to see what will happen. But I figure, if I can dump it somewhere off the coast of Florida here, it'll be a little more satisfying on the targeting. Now, I did run into a problem at the end of the last video, and that was where I had so much inward on my burn that it was actually going to have me impact the lunar surface. So to fix that, I rotated 90 degrees from my direction of flight, did enough of a burn to raise my periapsis so that I wouldn't hit the moon. Unfortunately, when I did that, it sent my periapsis at Earth subterranean, and it messed up my longitude pretty bad. So all my planning kind of went out the window, and, well, not so much. It's still pretty close, but I'm going to have to do a large correction, or at least a correction that I would not have had to have done otherwise. So let's go ahead and switch camera views here and jump back into this flight. Now, again, I just did finish recording the last part, so I just passed periapsis back there a little bit, and I'm now on my way away from the moon. And again, my targeting would say that my longitude needs to be about 90 degrees west, and currently it's showing 66, so that's not going to work too well. And then my periapsis is showing 131. The periapsis is actually less of an issue for me than the longitude. But I think it'll be cheaper in terms of fuel usage if I do this correction after I get outside of the lunar sphere of influence. So the first thing I'm going to do in this video is warp time forward to get out away from the moon. So let's just time warp at 1,000. And what I generally do is just let the vessel spin on its own until I'm facing where the body that I'm coming from, which is the moon in this case. I'll let it go all the way around to retrograde. Then I come out of time warp, and I'll kill rotation. And now I'll time warp out at 10,000, and that just lets me keep the body that I'm coming from closer in view. Now, I can see in interplanetary MFD that the moon is out of the way. I'm not in the sphere of influence anymore, but I'm gonna kind of let myself fall back in and probably get all the way into the Earth's SOI before I worry about doing any kind of correction. And we're almost there. You can see this white line, this white dot rather, when it crosses the perforation area, will be in the Earth SOI. We're almost there, and you'll see it update on the HUD here shortly. In theory, there it is. So now, according to Orbiter and all of our MFDs, we are now within the Earth's sphere of influence. So I could kind of just start guessing about which way to burn, just bumping translations around, but there's quite a bit of error in this case, so I really feel like I'm better off doing a maneuver. Let me bring up interplanetary on this side. Go to get rid of the burn vector here. Gonna probably need to reference Earth at this point. Change projections, probably to self. Okay, let me turn the plan on this side because it's still shared. Okay, let me make sure I'm referencing Earth. And then the source now needs to be myself. Let's see, where do I set the source? Okay, using ships. So I guess the source is already me. Just give me a moment here to think through this. Page over, select. I come to think of it, do I want to reference the Earth or do I want to reference the Sun? PEA. I need to see the latitude and longitude. And I'm not getting that. So let me think here. I don't have a ton of experience with interplanetary MFD, so I really have to concentrate on how everything works. Let me change the reference. Maybe I do have to reference the sun, and then page over. Let me turn the plan off for now. No, I think it's right to reference Earth. Okay, yeah, this is what I need to see. Now I got the latitude and longitude. Okay. So why was it then when I turned the plan on that my latitude and longitude information goes away? I don't understand. Oh, actually I do know why. Basically, all right, let me reset this. So page over, set that to 0. So basically if I do nothing, because right now it's still showing my old burn, so the plan's saying, well, if we do this burn, then that's what's going to happen. So plan off for now. Referencing the Earth. Source is myself, which is correct. Everything's off and 0. Okay, I think now I can turn the plan on and set up a maneuver. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Because basically what was happening before when I turned the plan on, it was still saying, well, you're going to put in 400 and something worth of inward. Alright, so now I'm going to say, give me, let's go 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes to set this up. And now I'm just going to start playing with these. Now this isn't applying any velocity, so let me go to a 10x adjustment for now. So this is just kind of see what happens. So if I put in a little bit of forward velocity, it's bringing the PEA up, but it's sending the longitude in the wrong direction. Probably not what I want. So let's see about probably DVI be the next one. And if I do inward, which would make sense because I took out some inward earlier, it's sending my longitude in the correct direction with just a little bit of inward, but it's sending my PEA pretty far out. So probably forward velocity and inward will fix this. So let's, we got the longitude getting closer, so a little bit of forward velocity. Okay, so negative forward and negative inward. I think we'll fix this. Now a little bit more negative. It's requiring a bit more negative inward than I would like, but again, that's unfortunate that I didn't catch what was happening there at the moon. But, you know, one of the nice things about making these mistakes is that it proves that you can fix just about anything. You know, sometimes I think, at least when I was new to Orbiter, I used to always get this impression that if anything went wrong with my flight at all, if anything went wrong, then I pretty much had to start back over on the ground. So it's nice to see sometimes when you make mistakes that it is recoverable. And a 65 meter per second recovery, you know, I'd say that's not terrible. Okay, so 85 degrees, or 82 rather, that's not far enough west. Bringing the PEA down, 85, 86, that's far enough west, but I'm still, that PEA is too high. Okay, that's looking good. So we got a PEA of 41, which is pretty close to what I originally set out to have, and then a longitude of 86, which is pretty close to 90. Now again, the latitude, for some reason, I'm not really getting any corrections on the latitude. Oh, now I can though. Now I want the latitude really to be closer to 28, so can I do that? The best time to fix that would be at the line of nodes. If I already passed it, though. I don't know if I've already passed it. I'm not as worried about the north-south part of it, at least not for this initial flight. So yeah, I don't really want to add that much extra velocity, and so I'm just going to say, well, we're going to dump a lot further south than we wanted to. Out of curiosity, though, let me see how much would be required. So that's 81, 82 meters per second as is. And if I really wanted to dump north, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of extra. So I'll just have to lesson learned here a little bit, and I'll have to just improve on some other future flight. So quick sanity check before I commit to the burn, but let me just go ahead and get it started for now. Longitude is 86. PEA is 41. I'm happy with that. Alright, time warp forward and get ready to do the burn. Actually, as I'm getting up to that point, let me go ahead and start manually rotating. Give IMFD less work to do if I get more into that position now. Didn't get it all the way there, but a little bit closer. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and warp time forward. Actually, I guess I can't because we're close enough now to the time to do the burn that we just have to go with it. So how much are we burning again? Yeah, not much. I mean, it's not chump change, but it's not a huge burn either. Okay, so that's the end of the burn. Let's turn off the plan and check our data in real time. So that looks good. Now the sooner that I get rid of the cargo, the cheaper it's going to be for me to re-raise my PEA. And I do trust that interplanetary MFD is very accurate at this point. So basically, in terms of fuel cost, the best thing for me to do now would be to dump my cargo, because remember, the cargo and basically everything here is currently on target to hit the atmosphere at 42 kilometers, which is plenty low enough for it to slow down and, land. And I just don't know if it's where exactly it's going to end up. I think what I'll do, though, is I'll go ahead and I'll say, well, let me just warp time forward until I'm at, let's go half this number. So
translation, rotation,
kill rotate when I'm at 60, let's just say 65,000. I'm looking at the PET. That'll give me a chance to just make sure that all the cargo is going to be, yeah, you can see it's maintaining position really well. Okay, so now we'll do the cargo dump. And I'm confident now that when I do the cargo dump, it's going to continue on this trajectory. So the final fate for the cargo is going to be this and this. Alright, now the only way I know to dump the cargo in this thing is to use the 2D panel. I don't know if there are keyboard shortcuts for it or not. I haven't read the manual well enough to know. So in the 2D panel, control up arrow to get up here. Now I'm going to arm the cargo and basically just hit these buttons. And now technically it's released, but it doesn't look like anything happened because we're all floating at the same velocity. But if I put in just a little bit of translation, and let's translate, I don't know, up, then you can see the cargo is being, released, and that's enough. That's enough separation. As I warp time forward, it's just going to continue to separate. So back over to here, put this back on safety. Now what I want to do, let me warp time forward just for a few seconds to get some separation between myself and the cargo. That's good enough. Now I'm going to raise my periapsis for my Shuttle A so that I don't hit the atmosphere at 36 kilometers, because that would be no good. Alright, let's rotate.
rotation,
Now since I happen to be facing retrograde, one of the easier ways for me to raise my PEA will be to use a lateral translation. and it's backwards since I'm retrograde. So instead of pushing my vessel sort of this way, I want to push it this way, which will be raising my PEA instead of lowering it. So translation. And I probably, being that I need to raise it by over 60 kilometers, I probably should have went ahead and rotated 90 degrees in one of the directions, but this will be okay. You can see my PEA is coming up, and I don't really care what my latitude and longitude are. That doesn't matter. I just needed to make sure the cargo was on its way to the right place. I'll go ahead and set my PEA at the usual 200. And we can keep track of the cargo to some extent just by switching quote-unquote vessels. So there's 200. So if I press F3 and then select one of these, you can... This is now I'm technically inside the cargo. Now the cargo doesn't have any engines, obviously, so there's nothing I can do. It's on its way. It's going where it's going. There's nothing I can do to change what happens to this stuff at this point. I can't even redock to it if I wanted to. I don't think there's any way to do that. Even if I brought the Shuttle A back over, I don't think there's any way for me to reattach the cargo to the Shuttle A. I'm thinking about that. Yeah, I don't think you can. I think you have to set up the cargo in the scenario, but once it's been released, that's it. Okay, so let me warp time forward here a little bit. Let me control F3 over to the Shuttle A. Where'd the cargo go? It's out there. Now, we will lose track of it pretty quickly because we're, on very different trajectories at this point. But I will go back to it from time to time just to see how it's coming along. So let me warp time forward, bring my PEA down to, I don't know, go down to like 25,000 or something. Let me just quickly check in on the cargo. See how it's coming along. Actually, what I'll do is I'll warp time forward all the way to the Earth, basically. Alright, let's jump inside and bring up orbit MFD, see how we're doing, see how close we are. So we're at 4,000 kilometers, get a little closer than that. $2,500. Come out of time warp for a moment and let me check on the Shuttle A. Control F3. Shuttle A is 500 seconds away from periapsis, about 10 minutes out. So we'll have to set up an orbit insert burn here for the Shuttle A here in just a moment. Coming up on about 20 minutes for this part of the video, so let me switch camera views here for a moment. And when we come back, we will learn the fate of the cargo and get the orbit insert maneuver done for the Shuttle A so that it doesn't go around the Earth and fling off into some weird orbit. If you like this part of the video, please hit the like button down below, and if you didn't like it, that's okay too. Hit the don't like. And if you're not subscribed to the channel and you like all this space stuff, hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when I upload new orbiter videos. Other than that, check for links in the description down below, and I'll see you in the next part. Did 90 degrees from my direction of flight, did enough of a burn to raise my periapsis so that I wouldn't hit the moon. Unfortunately, when I did that, it sent my periapsis at Earth subterranean, and it messed up my longitude pretty bad. So all my planning kind of went out the window, and, well, not so much. It's still pretty close, but I'm going to have to do a large correction, or at least a correction that I would not have had. Okay, welcome to another Orbiter Spaceflight Simulator video, and this video is going to be a continuation in the cargo transport mission that I'm doing. It's kind of a mission that I made up myself. It comes from the default scenario, comes with Orbiter 2010 by default, that is, from the Shuttle A folder. This one's called Shuttle A on the Moon. Now, the particular details of that scenario in the description is that you're going to take this so much for my own accuracy's sake, but just to see, what will happen. But I figure, if I can dump it somewhere off the coast of Florida here, it'll be a little more satisfying on the targeting. Now, I did run into a problem at the end of the last video, and that was where I had so much inward on my burn that it was actually going to have me impact the lunar surface. So to fix that, I rotate I'd do have done otherwise. So let's go ahead and switch camera views here and jump back into this flight. Now, again, I just did finish recording the last part, so I just passed periapsis back there a little bit, and I'm now on my way away from the moon. And again, my targeting would say that my longitude needs to be about 90 degrees west, and currently it's showing 66, so that's not going to work. Cargo back to Earth and dump it into the Indian Ocean. For my own sake, I decided, well, I'm going to dump it off the coast of Florida, and there's a reason for that. Basically, my reasoning was that if I dump it into the Indian Ocean, that's such a large target. Let me see here, let me zoom out. That's kind of a big target area, like somewhere out here. I'm trying to be a little more pinpoint with my accuracy and not even